Who said I can't talk over countdowns? Who made up that rule? Who made that rule up? I sure didn't. Yeah, okay. So something crazy happened literally about maybe half an hour ago. So it happened tonight. And of course, I know who I'm talking to. Until the audience changes up a little bit, we're going to connect it to some professional practices and things like that. But I just need y'all to know that sometimes you just have to step out, like literally step outside and just be on the corner of a street. Well, it depends on the street. And activity happens around you. What am I talking about? Well, I had 3 encounters tonight. And all 3 of them happened because I decided to just go outside, get some fresh air for a little bit, just kind of stretch my legs. And oh, by the way, side note, so I found out what happened to my audio yesterday. I thought I connected it to the microphone, but I actually connected it to this mic. I connected it to the camera mic. So that's how come it sounded so far away. So thankfully it still picked it up, but man, that was kind of rough. So that's what happened with the mic situation. So if it doesn't sound clear, like if it doesn't sound full, let me know, because I thought I did, and I guess I just was looking at the wrong thing. Hey, listen, let me tell y'all something. It's something about just being outside, y'all. So first encounter was I'm just outside talking with my friend, decided to grab a slice of pizza, just kind of enjoying the crisp night air. And there are these 2 ladies that was like, hey, do you live in the area? I was like, yeah, I live in the area. And they're looking for different places to go, just celebrating their birthday. And so even though I live here, I'm like oblivious to certain spots to go to. And so my friend on the phone though knows all the spots. So I'm on the phone, like being like the liaison, translating like what it is that, where they should go. Long story short, able to help them out. Cool. Another individual, weird ask, but asked me to give him $30 so that he can, so that I can cash app him. And I was like, technically, I actually would have cash in my hand. Technically, would the cash be real? I'm not sure, but it just seemed a little shady. So I was like, no, I'm okay. I'm okay, sir. I have no money on me. Of course, I don't have no money on me, but I have Cash App on me. But that was the whole point. Nope, don't want to do it. Okay, so I curved that one. The last encounter, I'm walking down the street and there was a guy. I actually passed him the first time around. I was like, yo, I know people who used to do this in New York. Actually, one guy that used to do this in New York, typing on a typewriter poems for people who are just like passerbys. Yeah, let me tell you, when I decided to walk back and tell him, yo, like, how's it going for you? Has it been lucrative? Like, where do you commute or whatever? And he's like, yo, so I've been here. And I also have done it in New York. I was like, yo, I used to live in New York. I actually know a guy that used to do this in New York. And then I opened up. This is the networking part, y'all. I opened up and I said, yeah, I think his name was Thomas. He was like, oh, I know a Thomas. I was like, yeah, gray hair, kind of like putting it in a ponytail. And he was like, no. Yeah, but I know a Thomas, I know a Bill. I said, it's Bill. And then he said Bill Keys. And I said, that's the guy. I met Bill Keys in New York City, y'all, 10 years ago. Let me show y'all a photo of Bill Keys. Listen, I met Bill Keys when he didn't even have a website, y'all. He didn't even have an Instagram. I think he might have had Twitter when Twitter was the thing back in the day, because that's where we connected. So as I'm standing there across the desk from the guy that's writing poems, his name is Ryan Ashley, the poet. I'm looking at my email just to show him proof that I know Bill. And he was like, I believe you, And he's like, oh, do you want to talk with him? Or no, he was like, do you want to, yeah, he said something about like either talking to him or like connect with him. And I was like, he won't remember me. Now, that's a not a red flag, but flag on a play. You don't want to do that. You want to take your shot. I already did a connector. And so he said, yo, you want to connect with Billy? And I was like, I said no for him. Don't do that. But here's the other thing too. I already know that Ryan is not going to just be there this one time. He usually comes around often, and I didn't know this. So I guess he kind of positions himself in different places. So it's not going to be the last time that I see Ryan. But it was so serendipitous, though, that I ran into Ryan, who knows Bill. Okay, so let me connect it a little bit, and then I'll show you a little bit about Bill himself. Bill Keys is the guy. Yo, this dude is cool. So, um, one of the things that you want to do in networking is you want to make sure that as you first show up, position yourself in a place where there's people. The best way to do that, obviously, is an event, Eventbrite, whatever it is. There are different platforms that you can do it. I don't even know if meetup.com is still a thing, but, you know, go to a place where things are happening, right? So first showing up, positioning yourself, right? But one of the greatest tools that you can use is what I call connectors. It's parts of your story where you can say, and it doesn't have to be a long story, drawn out story. I literally said, you know, I knew people who used to do this in New York. And then he opened up and I was like, oh yeah, I actually commute. I do this in New York. I do this here. And then that's when I was like, yeah, I actually knew a guy. And then that's when I said Thomas. He's like, oh, yeah. And then I described who Thomas was. And then he mentioned the next name. I was like, that's the guy. Now, I don't know how I came up with Thomas from a Bill. Maybe I was thinking of William. I don't know. But the whole point is, by me opening up myself, I was able to connect with that part of my personal experience with somebody else who then knew the guy. Y'all, I can't make this stuff up. First of all, show up, be in the place, be in the spot, okay? Be in the spot. We're talking about networking here. Just show up in the spot. The next thing you have to do is open your mouth. Now, I'm not really talking about virtual events. That's cool. That's a whole nother situation. I'm talking about physical events where you have to show up, open your mouth, like say hello to people, all right? And even if you don't, if you just position yourself in a way, if you just stand in a way where it commands attention. By the way, I came out like this. I actually had a hoodie on. I'm in Miami right now. For those of y'all, know, Miami's in the 60s right now. It's for us, that's hoodie weather. Like we chilled out right now. So I had on my sweats, hoodie. I had the hoodie on too, actually. And I'm talking on the phone. But I'm chilling in a way, I guess, that was still approachable for two people. In the beginning, the first encounter, two ladies would come up and say, hey, do you live here? So even though I had the hoodie on, listen, we get it. Black dude with a hoodie on, the stereotype is on a street corner, but apparently I did not give off that vibe, right? For them to feel comfortable enough to ask, hey, do you live around here? What are some suggestions? Cool, that was one encounter. And then the other encounter for somebody to ask, the whole Cash App situation. But the point is, I then met a guy named Ryan Ashley. I'm going to read the poem for you guys. I'm going to read it because this is dope. This is how they do it, by the way. Oh, my fingernails look so clean. Look at that. This is how they do it. All right. They write it on these pieces of paper on a very antique typewriter. That's kind of part of the persona, right? Also because it's just very portable, honestly, and it's just a really great way to just carry your tool with you, and it's really nice. I actually thought about doing it back in the day, and yeah, and so he stopped. He writes, and this is what poem guys do. They stop, they write the poem for you based on like the vibe, the experience. Maybe you tell them a little bit about yourself, or maybe as a couple, and they create the piece for you. And then you donate. You don't have to give money, but most times you give money. So it's like, yeah, sometimes I'd make like $400 in an hour. And it was done other times, so I'm making $6 in an hour. I'm like, yo, that's wild. So it goes up and down. The point is, if I had not approached Ryan would not have written this poem to me. I'm going to read it to you because I think it's very apropos for where I'm at in my life right now as we begin 19. Oh my goodness. As we begin 2025. I don't even know how I got to 19, y'all. 2025. So he starts off, Chris. Dynamic, underrated, launching soon. Brother is slated for great things, and I believe in due time he will bring to us all the love he has. Ryan Ashley, the poet. My fellow brothers and sisters, if this is not a prophecy, like it's crazy. It's crazy because as I've been talking about how great 2025 is going to be, and then there's this person here who writes all kinds of things, so I don't know if he just has this kind of framework of, uh, poem like this specific one kind of tucked away in the back of his mind, or if it really was just like based on who I'm seeing right now, what I this is what I get from you. The launching soon part really hit home. I'm like, yeah, yeah. And then slated for great things. I was like, yeah, 2025 it's the it's y'all, it's the year. It's the year. And now what I love is that soon is spelt wrong and believe is believe is BELIEBVE. Hey, listen. He's probably been out there for a long time, so you know he got soon with an M instead of an N. I love it. It's the authenticity of the thing, because it's still getting the message across. This is kind of similar to how my audio yesterday was a little janky, but y'all still got the message across. I still got the message across. So Ryan Ashley, the poet. So let me share with you who Bill Keys is, y'all. This is crazy. I met Bill at about 2014. So we're talking about a little over 10 years ago. And this is how I was like, why I was like, I don't know if Bill remembers me. I met Bill when I think, just coming out of homelessness in New York City. And that's a whole other story. We'll talk about that another day. But I met Bill, so we have something in common because Bill was kind of roughing it out too, and he was now on the streets, and he was also doing his craft. And by the time I ended up leaving New York City, by the way, fully independent, helping other roommates pay rent. By the way, so I didn't leave struggle. I actually left. It wasn't a rags to riches situation, but I left in a very good place where I, by choice, decided, you know what, let's move back to Miami. Let me share my screen with you right quick. Bill Keys. All right. Bill has a website now, y'all. This is Bill. I don't know how old this video is. I'm not gonna click on it. I think that I'd have to make sure that you can hear the audio and stuff. I don't know if you'd be able to hear the audio. Let me know if you can hear it.
The first time it happened was at a party. At that time, I had a lot of love in my life. How spontaneously.
He's got the Corona typewriter.
It was just a joy to be able to share. And through the
I'm gonna kind of skip through it, but this is
a way to be that makes sense.
This is what they do. And yep, I think that's Union Station or 14th Street. This is, man. Yep. This brings back memories. So anyway, I run into a guy named Ryan who knows a guy named Bill. And Bill, at least maybe at the time, Bill knew me at one point, perhaps. But crazy, y'all. Okay, also, so now, as you can see, he's doing unique events, weddings, entertainment. My name is Bill Keys. People tell me that they'd like a poem about what they'd like a poem about. I engage them in conversation. Yep, then compose a poem for them on my 100-year-old typewriter. I started playing with this process 20 years ago in autumn of 2001. What started out as a fun thing to offer my social life became my full-time profession in 2010. I met him just a few short years after that. And just this past year alone, before the pandemic, I provided poetry magic at Neil Patrick Harris's Halloween. Bill is doing the thing, man. Because when I met Bill, we weren't at that, we weren't at that level. And now, man, the 100th anniversary of the New York Daily News, 4 nights at the Bay Bar, top of Rockefeller Center, the New York Botanical Gardens. I'm going to go back and be like, yo, Bill, you remember me? That'd be crazy if you did. As well as weddings and private parties throughout New York City, throughout Austin, Texas, Washington, D.C. I don't know where. Is it pronounced Mendocino, California? I hope that's not Southern California because that'd be crazy. And Chicago. I provide not only a personalized poem for guests, very often to be framed later, but the whole process is entertainment for those waiting their turn or simply intrigued. He's got the Disney World user experience going where it's not just about getting on the ride, but it's how you're waiting to get on the ride. My man, Bill. Conversations between me and the guests are interesting. They're amusing, sweetly personal. Onlookers chat with each other while I type, and when I'm finished, hush up and listen as I recite the poem. I've seen this for myself. The very spectacle of a well-dressed man typing away on a 100-year-old typewriter provides a delightful atmosphere. It's relaxed, personal, and warmly entertaining. Listen, they're a community, y'all. This is a community situation. I say this is a community situation because Ryan knows Bill, who knows like Thomas, these other guys that I don't know. They all know each other. All right. I'm gonna go back. Maybe not right now, but I'm gonna go back and see if I can get the plug for Bill. Bill apparently has, listen, Bill is on his thing now. Bill is on IG now. Like Bill is doing the dang thing, man. This is Bill, y'all. Oh, okay, well, there's that. Whatever. Bill is doing the thing, y'all. All right. So here, here's some photos that he's done, of him doing his work. Like, yeah, man, Bill is just a great guy. And so around the time that I was leaving, Bill got accepted into this art residence for housing, and he was also able, of course, to continue doing his poetry. So I just say that all to say, I mean, I don't know, right now where Bill is and like what's going on, but I'm pretty sure Bill's living a good life. He's got to be living a content life, Anyway, that's Bill, y'all. That's Bill Keys. Like, my guy. What I'm saying is, from a networking perspective, y'all, 10 years ago, and I meet somebody who knows the person that I met 10 years ago. And we would have never connected if I didn't use that connector, if I didn't share something about myself. Am I sharing just a little bit about myself? Some of y'all think that when it comes to networking that you have to say a lot, like you got to do the most. You have to have this pitch or this spiel ready. Actually, a lot of people can see through that stuff. Just be yourself. Just be authentic. Dare I say, you can even get to the point where you tell people, I'm not really sure what I should say at these things, but hi, my name is Chris, and and you can even, I know you hate to do it, but if you had to do a default, start with just, because they always ask the question, so what do you do, right? Hi, my name is Chris, and I'm a user experience design instructor. I'm an executive storytelling coach. Like, you can say something about at least starting off with what you do, and then you can branch out from there. There is this framework. I love frameworks. It's called From. I think it's called From, where you start off with beginning with it's an acronym or a backronym, FROM. So the From would be like literally, where are you from? Like, where were you raised, born? So you can start the conversation there. R, I think, is for recreation. O is for occupation, and M, I think, is like motivation. So it's not necessarily like you do it in sequential order, because you usually talk about your occupation first before you talk about recreation. But M for sure is towards the end. Like, what are you driven to do? That's a little bit deeper, right? We're not talking about your job. We're not talking about your hobbies. We're talking about stuff that's a little bit more intrinsic. Like, what gets you up in the morning besides your job? So listen, y'all, I just figured that I'd share that with you. And I think what I might end up doing, this might end up being a thing, y'all, where I actually, instead of just staying behind the camera here in the comfort of my own home, actually do the stream from the phone so that y'all can actually get a taste for I'm gonna say this, but don't take it the way I say it. I be out in those streets, but not like that. I be out in them streets. And out in the streets is where the activity is happening. And it would have been awesome if I actually had documented that, but it wouldn't be as authentic though. There's this dichotomy between actually showing up and being one of those people that actually is just like, hey guys, so right now I'm on the corner of 24th and 3rd, and this is what I do. Versus just actually living your life and then coming back to tell that. This is what I'm doing right now. I'm coming back to tell you guys exactly what has happened, like, and the experience that I've had. So, okay, well, listen, it's a few of y'all that are rocking with me on Twitter, which is cool, or on X. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to share with you guys a framework that I did a few years back that actually is a little bit more dialed in on networking, like how to revive your network. So give me a second here. I'm going to pull it up right quick. Do it as you will. Screenshot it if you want. It is what it is. I think it's watermarked, but whatever. Give me 1 second. I think you guys might actually appreciate this. So let's see. What would this be under? It would be under recommended. No, it's not that. Just hang in there for a second, guys. What I'm doing is I'm looking for my my networking framework so that you guys can take a look. Oh, actually, matter of fact, we can do two things because I'm actually going to talk about this again. So let's do this. Let's do this. I actually had to screenshot this from a presentation that I did, but this is from David W. Angel. I think some of y'all might appreciate this actually. So I'm going to share this with y'all just to talk about like when you network, the kinds of conversations that you should actually strive to engage with. All right. So here's what it should look like, y'all. When you network, you want to strive to be in this quadrant right here. Sorry, not discourse, dialogue. The upper right quadrant, cooperative and two-way. Because there are four types of conversations. The first type is, let's just start, let's start clockwise. Starting with discourse, it's one way and it's cooperative. So, it's like a lecture. Discourse is really like a lecture, but your purpose is to deliver information. It's kind of like what I'm doing right now until y'all actually start talking with me. We're not really dialoguing. It's more so a discourse. I'm sharing my experiences with you. I'm delivering to you information as we speak right now on Friday, January 10th at 9:44 p.m. 2025. And it's one way, but it's cooperative. Why? Because y'all are still here. I'm not holding you hostage. You can choose to hop on. You can choose to hop off. Diatribe is also one way, but it's competitive. What is a diatribe? You're expressing your emotions, browbeating, you're inspiring. It's like you're trying to rally the troops. You're trying to prove a point. When you think of diatribes, think of rants. Somebody just going on a rant. Browbeating is a little bit more intimidating. It's like it's using abusive words or kind of being a little bit more stern. And so it's still ranting, but it's competitive. It's like you're almost trying to talking down to somebody, but it can also be used to inspire people, to rally them to do something maybe they're not supposed to do, or maybe something that they should do. But diatribe isn't necessarily negative. It's just once you do a diatribe, it can be positive, right? Where you're expressing emotions, but you're inspiring, but it can also be negative too. You can inspire people to do good, or you can inspire people to do harm, right? But that's more so one way. None of these are negative, by the way. You just got to know when you're using each one. You've ever been to a networking event and people have been just running their mouths, discourse, or just ranting, and you're just like, oh, I can't get a word in edgewise. Debate is two-way. So we're opening it up now, but it's to win or to convince somebody. A lot of people do this too, like when they're trying to showboat or when they're trying to, so what do you do? And you tell them what you do and it's, oh, well, what I do is they have this like, this one-upmanship kind of, kind of vibe to them. And what they're doing is they're trying to show out. And even more so, we know that debates can be even more direct, right? When you're trying to prove a particular point, so you're not even looking to listen to the other person. You're really waiting for a pause so that you can insert yourself and then just, come in with an opposing view and trying to convince them with the information that you do have so that they can be persuaded. That's what a debate is. So y'all know what a debate is, but a debate is two-way. If it's not two-way, then it's more of a diatribe, right? Because you're still doing the intent of winning over, convincing. Diatribe can do that if it's one way. Then there's a dialogue. This is the sweet spot for networking, y'all. It's two-way, but it's cooperative. It's not competitive. And you're exchanging information and you're building relationships. This is key. Why is this key? Because one of the biggest things in networking is active listening. You want to be able to listen. So you want to make sure that you're using the right type of dialogue or really the right type of conversation when you're going out and you're networking. All right. Cool. I think we might have gotten somebody on Twitch here too. Welcome. Go ahead and drop some love in the chat, y'all. I think for X, y'all can't do that, but Twitch, I know y'all can do that. So go ahead and drop some love there. Okay, so I'm gonna end this. I'm gonna end this because what I want you guys to then see is my networking framework. This is my free one of y'all tonight. Let's see. I know I have this somewhere, y'all. I know I have this somewhere. Okay. Okay. I did this a while back. I did this a few years back. And I think y'all might enjoy this. Take a look right quick. So with this thing, we're talking about connectors tonight, right? This is when a few years back, I was like, man, I really need to just kind of, revive my own networking, my own network, my group of people that I know and that I connect with. And so this is me putting my own, listen, sometimes what you need to do is if it doesn't exist, create it for yourself and then put it out. So this is what I ended up doing. This is me taking what I know to be true. You remember, it's so funny because yesterday we talked about the Eisenhower matrix. If it is urgent and important, then you want to do that right away, straight away, do. If it's urgent but not important, delay. You don't necessarily need to do it right now. If it's urgent, or if it's not urgent but it is important, delegate. And then if it's not urgent and if it's not important, throw it away, delete. So I used that particular framework and I overlaid it with my experience of networking. And as you can see here, if it's urgent and important when it comes to networking, this is when you want to do. This is the do category. So you want to seize opportunities to give value or to extract value. So here I call it create new or leverage existing connections. You want to do this now. We're talking about networking. We're talking about finding people, connecting with other people. That could be for, you need to just quickly rebuild your network. You need to find a job. You need to maybe help somebody else to look for employment, whatever the case is. This is urgent and important. Do now. So how are the ways that you can do that? By the way, guys, this is mine. This is not like something that I found. This is mine, but I took another framework with the do, delegate, delete, and I put my experience over it. You can write or respond to emails, DMs, texts, phone calls. You're being active, commenting. You can present at existing network communities. Remember I told y'all to just show up and position yourself like I did right outside, and people actually came to me and vice versa. I came to people and just had conversations. You can publish blog posts, white papers. White papers are just these, long form, kind of like think pieces, but they're more sourced. So it's not just like an opinion. It's not an op-ed. It's more of a, it's almost borderline academic, where you're kind of giving people like the how-to or discovery of something as you're giving them kind of perspective on how to maybe solve a particular problem. Usually white papers is helping somebody to solve a specific problem. It's leveraged as a way for after they see it and like, wow, this is super useful. You have some information at the bottom. And I was like, yeah, if you want more of this, then, you can sign up or, you can call us or whatever. So white papers are used for. Newsletters. Newsletters are big now too. Y'all know this. Substack, ConvertKit, which I think is now just called Kit. So you have a bunch of ways that you can deliver newsletters as well. But I said that this can also be in the scheduled quadrant because for publishing. But for the most part, the do now, you got to reach out to people. You got to show up to places. And you got to put out content if it's urgent, if content is part of the urgent quadrant. But then I'm going to show y'all something here. But then we got, if it's urgent but not important, remember, delegate. So this is where you assign opportunities to improve overall value. So you get help to improve value to the connections. In other words, you delegate someone else to do it. So create a social media calendar. Hire a social media or content strategist, marketer, a manager, intern, somebody to do it on your behalf. Hire a virtual assistant to help prioritize connections. If you have the resources to do this by assigning the opportunities to improve your overall value, yes, do that. If you don't, then you're probably going to have to do this yourself, which is fine. Okay. And that's why I put that one there, because not everybody has the means to hire somebody, which is okay. Do it yourself. Okay. Now, I know that kind of is counterintuitive to me saying delegate, but then you have to do it yourself. I'm just saying realistically, if you don't have the ability to delegate, but you know that you're in the delegate quadrant, start with just creating a structure or a schedule or calendar in this case to at least give to somebody who might want to, help you out. All right. Okay. If it's important but not urgent, this is where you want to nurture opportunities to build on the current value that you have. The urgency, important and urgent, you're pulling value or you're giving value immediately. Going to a conference, showing up for a keynote, you're giving value. Or now it's your time to kind of pull and you're asking because it's time to sell a book or something like that. You're extracting. In this case, this is kind of the simmer, important but not urgent. You're simmering you're seasoning your network. You're nurturing them. So you're maintaining professional and personal connections by scheduling a time to do this. Because remember, that's the delay. You're scheduling. So what does that look like? You plan brief check-ins with current connections. You engage with interesting articles, achievements of them, not of you. Can you imagine you say, hey guys, guess what? And every time you show what an achievement is for you. No. Engage with their achievements. Okay. Mention them publicly on social media. Attend events and memberships, conferences and summits. If this is for you to give or to take value, then this could also, like I put here, be done in the do quadrant as well. All right. But if you're just kind of, letting things simmer, I'm just here. I'm just building the network. I'm just nurturing my network. All right. Here's the thing. The yellow is the key. If you're always in the red, that means that you're always using. You're using, or you're giving, and you're not taking. It's imbalanced. If you're always in the key, if everything is always urgent, and everything is always important, you're going to tire. You're going to either tire yourself out or you're going to tire out your network. All right. You don't want to be tired or tiresome. You want to make sure that you're also kind of doing this right here. This is still, for me, as somebody who's considered an extrovert, this is still a challenge to just make sure that I'm doing check-ins. And guys, the check-ins don't have to be long. Now, the check-ins can add up if you're not careful. So you can use apps like the Cove app, COVVE. You can use apps like the Clay, CLAY app. There are other apps that are kind of like personal relation management. It's like it's like a CRM, but more so for your own personal contacts, where they will remind you, hey, you need to talk to so-and-so. It's been 2 weeks. You said you're going to schedule a bi-weekly with them. They'll have notes that you can put in. So the next time that you talk to them, or if you found an article or whatever, you can put it in there and send it. Cool stuff. But that takes work too, right? But the magic happens in the yellow. So when it's time to extract, when it's time to give, you'll know who to give to. Last but not least is if it's not important and if it's not urgent. You want to rethink the importance of your relationships in general. If you have a network and it's not important to you and it's not urgent as well to do anything with it, then you need to reframe the meaning of networking in your connections. So here's where the delete is. You're eliminating thinking that prevents you from actually doing it. So you might need to do a few things. Hire a professional development person or a leadership person or a clarity coach, somebody who can help you to revive the importance of having a network. Listen, we all get into our funks and we're just like, I don't really want to connect with nobody. I'm good. I'm straight. That's cool. But if that's for a prolonged period of time, you might need to find somebody to help you out, give you that push, or also a therapist. Because now what you're starting to do is no person is urgent to connect with or important to connect with. You're starting to, and you do this for long periods of time. I'm not talking about, a meaningful season of solitude. I'm talking about you're just starting to silo yourself off. You're cutting yourself off from everyone. And then now it's just you in your home. And now cabin fever has set in. And no. Talk to somebody who can give you the tools in order to at least get to this space, right? To start maintaining the personal connections. Doesn't have to be professional, but at least the personal connections. All right. Cool. All right. So that's it. That's it, y'all. I mean, that's all I got for y'all. I don't know if y'all have any questions about what I just, what I just shared, what I just talked about, but it all happened because I decided to go outside for a slice of pizza and a Coke. Yes, I said it. And a Coke. I know y'all talking about like, well, aren't you on this health kick? I am. But it's Friday and I thought I deserved it because what a week it was. All right. So for those of you that are just joining, just coming in and checking out the live, I talked about the fact that I came across a street poet, wrote me a poem, who knows another street poet that I met 10 years ago in New York City. And apparently it's a whole community, y'all. Like they all know each other, which is so dope. And I would have never met him if I didn't share part of what I call a connector, something that connected my experience to his experience. It comes with practice. That's the other thing that I should probably tell you guys. It comes with practice. What does that mean? What that means is that once you do this more often, you start to know the relevant pieces of information that you can share about yourself with somebody based on the context, based on what they're wearing, based on what they just said, based on what they, their disposition, based on a lot of things, based on the area that you're in. And instead of you just kind of talking frivolously, talking with, like small talk, you're actually giving them cues for them to also take and bite. Now, here's the thing. If he never mentioned the name Bill Keys, I would have never said, yes, that's his name. He could have been closed off. So part of connecting with somebody is, and I want to say it's more natural for some than others. I can't tell you how many times when I would walk in the mall, people would come in and ask me, hey, can you point me to, and y'all, sometimes I'm not even in like business casual wear. Some of us have that, you just have that vibe. You just have that vibe that you walk into a space and you just know where you are. That's what happened to me tonight. Right? You just got the look, you got the disposition, the posture that lets people know. Now, others of us, you need to work on it. It's just not there naturally, so you have to be more conscious about it. So for some, it's a talent, right? You're born with that. You just have to hone the skill, or you have to hone the talent. But for some, it's a skill. Like you really have to be focused on it every single time you show up until it becomes a little bit more natural, where it seems like it's a talent, but it was a skill that you worked on. All right. So, for those of us that are a little bit more approachable, use that to your advantage, because once you start putting those connectors out, the other person feels more comfortable to share a little bit about them. And when you throw a connector out and then they hopefully throw another connector out, it's like, oh, wow. So you know who that knows who, and we know each other. Like, so we besties. Now, it's an exaggeration, but it may feel like that in the moment because you both are now connected to somebody that you both know, even if it was a decade ago. And so my guy didn't even ask for it, by the way, just having a conversation. And as I'm talking with him, he's typing. And I was like, get out of here, Ryan. Ryan, you didn't have to do that. And he did. And I think that what I'm going to do is I'm probably going to have to frame this, y'all. It's a little crumpled now because I had to walk back. It was with this in my hand, I was like, I can't be out in these streets with this piece of art. I had to walk back to the spot so I can put this in a safe place. So that's what I'm going to do. Anyway, that's where we at, y'all. That's where we at. Now, what I want to do, I kind of mentioned this before, is I think I'm going to have to start documenting my we out in these streets experiences so that y'all can actually see that this stuff is happening in real time. It just is. Okay. So a few other things that we can talk about. Let's talk about, just so this is a little bit kind of off kilter a little bit from the actual title. So if you're kind of done with it, you can go ahead and you can swipe up. But if you want to kind of rock with me for a little bit, I want to share with you what my word for the year is. And I think this kind of ties in very nicely, neatly into even these kinds of experiences. So I may have more than one word for the year, but right now, what has been bubbling up is authenticity. I think I had one before. It was another A. I think it was Amplify. But we're gonna hold off. We're gonna put a little pin in Amplify, and that's gonna authenticity, meaning I'm going to show up as me, who I am, and here's the kicker. Some of you may feel this way. I don't know if you do, but rock with me if you do. Especially from a professional standpoint, you feel as if you need to, because we all have them. We have many faces that we put on based on the context that we're in, based on the friend or the social circle that we're in. We have different facades. Nothing's wrong with that. But the core of every facade or face or version, so to speak, of who you are should have some sort of silver lining that's like, that's Chris. And when he cutting up and he out, yep, that's our boy. When he in the boardroom, yep, that's Chris. When he's in a quiet setting, yeah, that's him. When he's live streaming to 2 people, yeah, that's it. Like, it should all have this common thread. It's been easy for me to have that, but man, I don't think I tapped into it the way that I should have tapped into it, especially last year. So that's what we're doing this year, because I'm in a place where, it's like, just because, my long-term, for instance, like long-term professional goals, hitting like that C-level kind of role. And the reason why I keep saying C-level is because this year for me is a year of making high impact decisions, but even more so, helping other people make high impact decisions. Like, the big goal is to help the big decision makers. So I'm like the decision maker behind, the coach or the consultant behind the decision maker, right? Like, I love doing that kind of work. Sitting down with people and like, oh wow, we had no idea that you had that kind of insight. Okay, so I am. So, but I don't have to show up in a suit, in a tie, and have to feel as if, I'm just, stuffy. Yes. Oh, hey, Pierre, first of all, I didn't know that anybody on LinkedIn was watching. First of all. Second of all, because StreamYard ain't StreamYarding. Second of all, for those of y'all that don't know Pierre Quinn, this is the guy, y'all. This dude right here, that's the guy. All right. And we always have a good time whenever we're streaming and whenever we just connect with each other on both personal and professional levels and context. But yeah, he says, be who you are, wherever you are. Y'all, this is important. Now, like I said, you have different versions, not versions, but because versions is like a bigger update. It's like, how you have a version 1 versus a version 2. Like, now we're not talking about that. We're talking about more so different, not versions. I'll use the word again, faces, right? You're very contextual in where you are. There's certain things that you won't do in certain settings. You have to have a level of emotional intelligence. That EQ has to be on par so that you know how to read the room. You know how to navigate certain spaces where people can take you seriously in one context and take you a little bit more lightly in another context. That's beautiful. Now, the people who can like stay even keel and they're taken in the same way in every context, more power to you too. That's who you are. Be who you are. Okay, so I don't want to go through the story again, here, but I'm not sure if you caught part of the story. But I'm gonna talk to you since you talked to me. We actually shared the 4 types of conversation: dialogue, diatribe, discourse. Like we debate. We kind of talked about that a little bit. And it says every place you are doesn't need to experience the full measure of who you are. Absolutely. And so let's take this to a social media platform. Y'all see how there are moments where after a certain segment or whatever, I'm cutting off LinkedIn because I know with LinkedIn, as weird as it is, it's a weird place to be sometimes. It's just not going to do what Twitch and the rest of them are doing, right? And so you got to know when it is that you turn the faucet of who you are full, like you just open it full, and everybody just gets and then when you just got to turn it just a little bit, you know, but it's still you. In every context, it's still gonna be you, right? So Pierre, I don't know if you're here for the story. If you were, just tell me that you were, because right now you're the only one that's actually dialogued. So if you're still here, cool. But I actually went outside. Yes, I went out in the streets, Pete, just for some pizza and a Coke. That's it. Slice of cheese pizza and actually a Caprice pizza and a Coke. And I ran into a poem guy, typewriter guy, who was like out on the street. And what I was saying was that I mentioned the way that you connect, or the way that you network effectively, is you throw out some connectors. And so I told him that I actually knew a guy in New York who used to do the same thing. He's like, oh, I know some guys in New York, because, I actually go there too. And so I threw out the name Thomas. And he was like, oh, yeah, I know a Thomas. Like, oh, yeah, okay, cool. And then I started describing. He was like, that ain't the Thomas I know. But I also know a Bill. And I was like, that's him. And then he said Bill Keys. P, I don't know if I told you about Bill Keys. I feel like we had this conversation, and he ended up like, because remember, this was like just me coming out of homelessness, and Bill was also kind of in that space, and then he was still using his art form, and then he got accepted into an art residence, and now he has shelter, but also able to kind of do his art. And so this dude Ryan, the one I met tonight, out in them streets, he actually wrote me a letter, not a letter, but a poem. Like, wild. Let me see if I could get that. Then got a manicured my nails, so hold on, where is it? All right, John. It's just not going. But I'll read it for you. So I read it earlier, but I'll read it again. So he writes, Chris, dynamic, underrated, launching soon. Brother is slated for great things, and I believe in due time he will bring to us all the love he has. My guy said, launching soon, sir. For great. And these are things, Pete, these are things that we talked about, that we whiteboarded about this for this year that's coming up. And I ran into him. So I ran into him, but then I told him about Bill. And earlier I shared the whole Bill's new website and everything. Like, he does weddings now. He actually did a Halloween party for Patrick. What was his name, guys? And then I mentioned he did. What did he do? He did Neil Patrick Harris's Halloween party, the 100th anniversary of the New York Daily News. Like, yo, P, like he was. This is as I was leaving, like transitioning. He wasn't doing none of this. Botanical gardens, like, he was killing it. Yeah, it is crazy work. And apparently, Pete, it's a network of them. They all know each other. Here's where listen, we streaming, so it's cool. So I don't feel no way about repeating myself. If y'all already heard it, then listen, I appreciate y'all, but y'all can hear it again if y'all want to. I actually said no for him, Pete. He was like, yo, you wanna connect? And I was like, nah, he probably won't remember me. It's been like 10 plus years, man. I'm just another face in the crowd. Billing. That's the one thing you don't want to do when you're networking, even when you're doing sales, y'all. And I'm not even in sales like that. Once upon a time I was. Don't say no for the other person, because you have no idea. Now, the other reason why I did say no was because he says that he usually comes out here more often. So it's not like I'm never going to see him again. So that's a whole other thing. So I'm kind of banking on the fact that he's going to show up again, which is another thing to keep in mind, y'all. When it comes to networking, don't show up with networking with desperation. Remember my networking framework that I just showed y'all? Don't show up always feeling like it's urgent and important. I actually put Ryan Ashley, the poet, I actually put him in the important but not urgent category. I'm scheduling it. I can find time to connect with him again. That's the nurture quadrant. I can nurture that. I can see him again on another Friday night if he's out there on the same block and be like, yo, Ryan, what's good, bro? How you doing? So much so that Ryan felt so comfortable. He's like, oh, listen, man, my allergies are killing me. Can you just grab me some napkins from Joe's Pizza? I was like, yeah, bro, I got you. By the way, y'all, I was doing all of this while I was actually still on the phone with a friend of mine. So I'm just like kind of just walking, and I position myself. And so they're listening to I can't say craziness because it wasn't crazy. It was just movie-like experience that was happening that whole night. All right. Wow. According to Daniel Pink, we're all in sales. So then it begs the question, what are you selling? And how much are you selling it for? Is it a value? Drop that book. Drop that book, P. It sounds as if that might be a book. It could be a social media post that he put, but I'm pretty sure. I know you got the book. So yeah, let us know what that book is. But yeah, y'all listen. This was a great evening. Great evening. Be approachable because that's what happened. I just happened to be in a place where I looked, as much as I was just in hoodie sweats, still was approachable. Some of y'all have to practice that. Some of y'all don't have to practice that. Use it to your advantage. And then open your mouth. Use the connectors. Be of value. Be of service. Help. To Sell is Human. Okay, cool. All right. To Sell is Human by Daniel Pink. If anybody's interested in diving a little bit deeper in that, right? Which is going to be super helpful when it comes to networking too, y'all. All right. Listen, I started out the evening not intentionally wanting to network. I didn't go out this evening, y'all, saying, oh, you know what I'm going to do tonight? I was just like, man, let me just go outside and get some steps in, man. Like, let me just get some fresh air. That's literally how it started. That was it. That's all that happened. The rest, as they say, is history. Okay. Any questions? Anybody got any questions? Any thoughts? I mean, so far, the only person that has had thoughts has been my boy P. Now, but any, you know how we do, Pierre. Like we can banter and we can go back and forth and we can, stack up the ideas and the perspectives. P don't feel no way, by the way, y'all. Like he'll hop on and he'll hop off. Like, because we do this all the time. So, so P, if you still there though, if you got a question, go ahead and drop it. But if not, for the other rest of y'all that I think is the rest of y'all are on X and Twitch, which is cool. Give me a shout out. Let me know what y'all think about this. All right, I'm here. I was actually about to cut it off LinkedIn until I saw some activity. Saw them comments from my boy. So yeah. Okay. Well, listen, here's what I will do. We at the 52 mark. I'm gonna at least stay on for the next hour. That's what I'm gonna for an hour. So for the next 8 minutes, I'll just stay on there. And we can even, as a matter of fact, now that we're kind of talking about it, we can even go back to look at what I was sharing with you guys yesterday if you missed it. Oh, by the way, P, I found out what happened with my audio. I think I was too tired to realize that I was using the camera's audio versus the mic's audio, which is why it still sounded far away, which is crazy. Crazy work. Yeah, hey, listen. Yeah, so Pierre says, it's not a question, but he appreciates the idea of not saying no for other people. Yeah, that's definitely one thing that I learned in I know you know this story, the toxic sales job that I had. Boy, that thing was toxic. That job made me cry, y'all. And it didn't make me cry, but it had me. I had some tears well up because of how they were treating us. Oh man, it was not for the faint at heart, y'all. But yeah, not saying no for other people. You know what that means? Let me tell you what that means. As soon as you start assuming that you know what's best for the other person, because you're probably thinking, you know what, I'm doing this out of the interest of you. I don't think that you'll be interested. You now have cut off a plethora of opportunities. Who know? Listen, like I said, I put Ryan Ashley the Poet in the scheduled quadrant. I'll go see him next week, right? But let's just say he was supposed to be in the urgent, like do now, connect, be like, yo, put Bill on the phone. Let's talk to Bill right quick, whether he knows me or not. Let me just throw that out there. Yo, Bill, what's good? Like, You have no idea. Have no idea. Bill can be like, yo, I do remember you. Yo, look, I'm gonna be down there next weekend. I got an engagement that you can probably, whatever the case is, you cut off a whole branch of other opportunities. You don't want to cut off the branch. Keep things as open as possible. You only start saying no for a few reasons. One of the reasons why you start saying no for other people is because you fear rejection. And so you've already created a defense mechanism to say, you know what? It actually feels better for me to say no to myself or for you than it is for you to tell me. So no, we good, right? I think a lot of people, maybe not the majority, but a lot of people say no for other people because they don't want to feel this thing, all right? Because then you can rationalize and you can say, well, you know what? I was in control of that rejection. Well, it's still rejection. You rejected yourself. Some other people, they say no because of fear, not of rejection, but just fear. Like they just don't know what's going to happen and so they're just like, you know what? It's okay. Fear of the unknown. You could put it in that category. Some people say no because of insecurities. We can probably categorize that entire insecurity section under the imposter syndrome. No, I'm not worthy. No, I don't have the capability to do so. No, I'm not ready. No, you would be disappointed if I show up and actually seize the opportunity, but I wasn't prepared for the opportunity. And so I failed when I should have just been preparing more. Whatever it is. Imposter syndrome, right? So you've got fear of the unknown. You've got fear of rejection. And then you just got, I guess it's probably be another fear of being exposed. Actually, me and Pierre talked about this. I think it was a post from Myron Golden that talked about, I'd rather be revealed than to be exposed, right? Where people actually start to, it's like you break out and people are like, oh, wow, that's that guy versus, oh, that's that guy. The first one is like the positive kind of exposure where it's like, yo, we didn't know that you were doing this whole time. Or wow, who are you? Versus, yo, we did not know that's what you were doing. Hey, who is that? Revealed versus being exposed. This is the fear of exposure. It's not the good revelation. It's not the good revealing. It's the one where you feel like people will know the real you, but the real you doesn't stack up to what you probably have in your head or what you think other people have in their head about you. That's when it gets real crazy. When you start thinking about other people, thinking about you, thinking about and that's when you just start saying no for other people because apparently you know more than they do about yourself. I know that sounded weird saying, but as far as your potential, because you put their power, the power of their potential in the power of your potential in their hands. So now you're telling them, no, you don't understand. I'm not ready for it. So anyway, those are the three fears. We just came up with those. So what I want us to do is let's just take a quick look. Let's just take a quick look at the Eisenhower matrix. We actually showed this yesterday, but just so that you can see like where I based what I was doing off of. I think I showed the same one yesterday too, actually. If it's urgent and important, like do it ASAP. We're in week 2. Well, actually, we're about to be done with week 2 in the new year, and some of y'all fall in certain quadrants, and y'all about to burn out, or y'all about to burn some other people out, because everything is important and urgent. Relax, it's not that deep. Calm down. It's time for you to plan some things out. Plan and prioritize. Schedule it for later. Delay. Do delay, delegate, delete, right? You just relax. It's going to get there, right? It's not urgent. It's important. It's got to get done, but does it have to get done now? Some of y'all, you just have trust issues. So you began the year like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. Oh no, she definitely can't do that. I got to do that because if he do that, then it's probably not going to end up the way that I want to. Calm down. That's probably going to be my next phrase. I have some phrases for 2025. I have a hunch. Next one might be calm down. That's not for me. That's for y'all. Calm down. Relax. Trust other people to get the job done. Now, delegate, I will say, especially in the professional context, you might have to put up some money, right? You might have to put up some capital, not all the time, but depending on what you want to get done, you might have to spend some cash, right? And if you're not spending cash, then you're spending something to get someone or a system in place so that you don't have to do it. All right. So just keep that in mind. There's going to be a trade-off with you delegating. If it's not money, it's time, effort. It's something that's going to have to be traded for delegation most times. But the easiest way, obviously, is money. Hire somebody to do it. If you do it right, you don't necessarily have to hire them and pay them. You can do it on a volunteer basis. Well, I didn't say if you do it right, because there's no right per se, but I'm just saying, like, if you're strapped for cash, that could be a way that you can get people to buy into the vision that you have, and like, yeah, I'll help you out for a few weeks or whatever, and then So anyway, you figure that out, how you're gonna do that. Delete. Hey, let's be real. Some of y'all got too much stuff already. That's too much. Y'all got too many goals already packed. Y'all got too many. What did we do? We talked about the year compass. We talked about a few things. And you maxed out all of the lines. Yeah, go ahead and delete those. Yeah, go ahead and delete it. Yeah, right now. Pull it out right now. Get your notepad out right now and just cross them off. And if they shouldn't be crossed off, then they need to be scheduled or prioritized, maybe for Q3, not even for next quarter. You need to start it out in like July. You need to start out in July. All right. Okay. All right. Listen, we hit an hour. Surprisingly enough, I am on all 4 platforms this time. I think then y'all were able to rock with me just for a little bit. Pierre saved y'all because I was about to cut y'all off. So y'all know I appreciate y'all though. For those of you that were here from the very beginning, for those of y'all, hey, so last thing, I'm gonna start talking through the countdowns because I think countdowns are boring. So I kind of talked through the one today. I'm just gonna keep it real simple, and it's probably, I don't know how loud it gets, but it's gonna be loud. I'm just gonna talk through. I don't even know if y'all can hear me at this point, but I took my joint off mute, and why not? You know what? This default soundtrack music that StreamYard is playing anyway got a nice little vibe to it, and I could just talk it through while LinkedIn and maybe some of the other platforms need to catch up because they usually cut off 20 to 30 seconds off of the stream anyway. So I'm just saying, I think I might do that in the future because who made up the rule? Who made up the rule that you had to be quiet for the countdown? I didn't make that rule up. So we're gonna break some rules. All right, y'all, listen, I'm out. I'll see y'all tomorrow, and have a good night. And remember, when it comes to networking, use those connectors. And the best way to use a connector is to take parts of your own story. Peace.